Hello! Thank you for joining us for our primary prevention training. My name is Kaylee. I am the Awareness and Prevention Director here at Canyon Creek Services, and I am also the chair of the Iron County Sexual and Domestic Violence Prevention Coalition. At Canyon Creek Services, our vision statement is communities free of domestic violence and sexual assault. Our goal is to eliminate these types of violence in our area so that we can achieve social change and eventually go out of business. The role of the Awareness and Prevention Department at Canyon Creek Services is critical in realizing this vision. Our task is to stop domestic and sexual violence from ever happening and to improve our social response to these types of violence. Our programming is directed at building protective environments, challenging unhealthy social norms, engaging men and boys in violence prevention, and strengthening families and relationships. Our department utilizes a public health approach to violence prevention in order to cultivate communities where violence is not tolerated. So let's talk about the different types of prevention. Violence prevention occurs at 3 levels: primary, secondary, and tertiary. Primary prevention takes place before violence ever has the potential to occur. It involves programs and strategies designed to reduce the factors that put people at risk for experiencing violence or encourage the factors that protect or buffer people from violence. This is the truest form of prevention because it addresses the root causes of violence. We are going to discuss many examples and strategies for primary prevention in this presentation. Secondary prevention occurs during or immediately after a situation where violence is occurring to mitigate harm. An example of secondary prevention may be stepping in when your friend is kissing someone who is under the influence and therefore cannot consent. Tertiary prevention occurs after harm has already been caused. The goal is to reduce more harm from happening in the future. An example of tertiary prevention may be helping your neighbor or friend contact the Canyon Creek Services 24-hour hotline after they have experienced domestic violence or sexual assault. Messages that focus on personal safety or potential victims' protection from perpetrators is not primary prevention. So some examples of this may be self-defense classes, watching your drink, walking in well-lit areas, carrying pepper spray. Risk reduction can be a helpful tool to help people feel safe. However, it is not primary prevention because it does not address the root causes of violence and social norms that encourage and condone violence perpetration. I want you to think about for a minute, what if we put as much effort into primary prevention as we do into promoting risk reduction strategies? Something to think about. So, what is primary prevention? Some sobering statistics. Every 73 seconds, an American is sexually assaulted. In Utah, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 6 men will experience some form of sexual violence in their lifetime. And in Utah, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 10 men will experience domestic violence at some point in their lifetime. Here's what we know. Violence is a community public health issue that can be prevented by meaningfully addressing the root causes of violence. So let's talk about the root causes of violence. This brings us to the million-dollar question. What is it that causes violence? There are many worthwhile answers to this question. Some include oppression, inequality, social acceptance, unhealthy social norms, and others. There are many risk factors that impact violence perpetration, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. While oppressive systems, structures, and harmful social norms exist and impact individuals' behavior, the choice to commit violence is still just that, a choice. The perpetration of violence is not inevitable, and primary prevention is possible. By challenging the social conditions that exist and perpetuate violence, we can create social change and prevent violence from ever happening in the first place. In the field of prevention, we frequently talk about working upstream or moving upstream. While this video focuses on child abuse prevention specifically, the principle illustrated is the same for all kinds of violence prevention.